data profiling, I guess the seasoned professionals, what is data profiling, right? So when you look at this, you can understand it quickly. So why do we need to do the data profiling? What exactly data profiling is all about, first of all? So data profiling is, in simple term, right? It helps us, when you do the data profiling, it helps you to understand more about your data. Okay, more about your data. For example, if I select a customer name or unit sold, how many number of how many number of values are there in this column? 10. Which is nothing but how many number of records are there. And then error 0. Do we have any error in this data set, in this column? In case of error, you fix it. Before loading it, you fix it. In the real world scenario, the volume of data is very high. Without even doing the data profiling, if you blindly go ahead and load the data, and for example, it takes 3 hours, at the end of the third hour, it is going to break. Whatever the amount of time it took, right? 3 hours, 2.5 hours or so, it got wasted completely. Hence, better you do the data profiling before you do the data transformation. Explore the data and see any data related issues, you can fix it. And how many number of empty values are there? Okay, the error is nothing. And we could see 3 blank values, null, 3 blank values are there. How many distinct values are there? How many unique values are there? And what is NA? So all these statistics will be given. With these statistics, you can better understand each column's data, so that before even you proceed with the data pre-processing, data transformation, you can fix it. Or loading, before you load the data, right? Or before you perform any merge, join, or append. And if you identify any issues with the data, you can fix it. And then you can perform append, you can merge the table. Merge is nothing but joining the tables. This is basically this, we conduct this exercise, the data profiling exercise, to improve the quality of our data. And also it helps us to understand, are there any outlier in my data? What do you mean by outlier? Anybody knows about outlier? What is outlier? With by conducting the data profiling, you can also get to know the outlier. What is outlier? Outlier is something like this term. Statistician or data scientist, they must be knowing this term. Outlier is something like unusually very high value, very high value, and are some cases exceptionally very low value. These are called your outlier. Okay, these are called outlier. Remember this. Okay, so okay, what is going to happen if I have unusually very high value? Right? It is also called as an outlier. So see, when you do the data profiling, for example, in the case of unit sold, if you find something like 1 million, something odd. So 1 million, okay, by eyeballing this, you can quickly identify it. But something like 1,000 or 10,000, right? Then the volume of the data is very high. So the statistics will help you to quickly understand, hey, do we have any outlier? Okay, you have 10 million records are there. You cannot keep scroll down and see it. And when you look at here, right, where is that? The minimum maximum value. When you look at the maximum value for the unit sold column, if you see something like 100,000, then you can easily catch out there is something nonsense here, right? So some problem. So what you can do is, once you identify the thing, and what you do is you go and check whether this outlier is valid, or is it something like data entry related issue. There is something data related, you can fix it then and there. It is not 100,000, it is just 1,000. You remove these 2 zeros. So you can identify the outlier while performing data profiling, and in case of any error, you can fix it. And also make sure that how many distinct values are there, unique values are there. If it is way more than expected, then there is a problem with the consistency. I will explain you what the consistency. The data should be consistent, the values. Okay, and it should be complete. Okay, these are the data quality related metrics, right? You should. What is consistency? For example, I have a country name. In the country name, let's Saudi Arabia. Some in In some retail location, USA, sorry, in Saudi, they say Saudi Arabia, and some places they say SC. Okay, is this South Africa or Saudi Arabia? There will be confusion. Let's say you have, so you have a global presence of your retail chains. So in that case, you sell products in South Africa and Saudi Arabia also, right? So in that case, what happened is this SCA, you will because of the inconsistency with respect to the naming standard that they used it to define the Saudi Arabia. So the South Africa values will get combined here, and you will get confused, right? So there is something called data governance team. It is their responsibility to do governance. Okay, data governance team. It is their responsibility to. In the case of a large enterprise, they have the separate team, the virtual team. Okay, data governance team. What they do is they go and define the naming standard and they circulate it to all the locations. Instead of circulating it, they will have intranet. There, they upload it everything. They need to go and check what the naming standard that they use it, right, during the billing or so. Okay, but here, Saudi Arabia, some location in Saudi Arabia retail chain, right? They use this naming control. This they use it. There is an inconsistency with respect to the country name. Okay, so in that case, what you do is forget about South Africa. Okay, in that case, what you do is either you convert all the values for the Saudi Arabia as SA, or you convert all the SA as Saudi Arabia, so that it will become. If you use two different naming standard for the same country name, for example, here it will some invoices will go here and some invoices will go here. And if you wanted to understand the total sales you made in Saudi Arabia, it will not be available a single thing, right? It will, so let's say 50% of the thing you made it, 50% it got generated the invoice in this name. But end of the day, when you look at only this one, it will just show, it will show, it will underplay the revenue value, right? Though you have done a good job in Saudi Arabia, but it shows because of the naming standard. So this is called consistency. The naming standard should be used consistently in across Saudi Arabia, in all the retail chain. Use this naming standard, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia. Don't use SCA. This is what your data consistency. So the next one is the complete. Okay, in case of any consistency related issues, you check with your stakeholder. Okay, this is the thing that we can. Is this SCA or Saudi Arabia, or is this South Africa? If they say no, so it's a Saudi Arabia, then what to do is you replace all the SCA by Saudi Arabia. This is one of the data transmission that we do it. But how do you get to know that? So you can see the distinct value here, right? So in Saudi Arabia, right, use how many countries that you sell you have retail chain. For example, I have only the six countries. Okay, or let's say you have 7 countries. Sorry, you have, yeah, 6 countries, but it shows 7. If it shows 7, hey man, I just sell I have a retail chain only in 6 countries. How come it shows 7? Because of these kind of issues. Saudi Arabia, SC, with that you can understand. Okay, then you can go ahead and take a deep dive. So what went wrong? Why it shows 7 instead of 6? Okay, go and fix it. Distinct and unique also different thing. We will discuss about the difference between these two little later. So what I do is instead of keep discussing this, we'll jump into Power BI Desktop and then we will see how we can use this feature. Okay, what I am going to, this is going to be a very big file. Because if I use that one, it will take a lot of time because so many files are there. Desktop. I'm going to launch a new report file. Here you can see that one. And if you see here, sales underscore W04 dot is not this one. Okay, let me do one thing. Okay, I think I have it in another file. No, sales by customer. Sales by customer.cc. You can hit this open button. So this is the data set. I'm going to hit the load button. Okay. So here I just if I go to the data view here, only one file, we can see the, even this file have less number of records. Because of illustration purpose, I've used, in the interest of time, I use very less record here. And this is your customer name, and this is a text data type, and these two are your quantitative variable or columns, and this is your Boolean type. Okay, and then this is your text type here. In this case, you can convert to data type also. Okay, and how do I perform data profiling? What you do is you just go to the Power Query editor by selecting transform data here. You have something called view ribbon here. This will wait for some time until it loads this query here. Okay, fine. And here in the view ribbon, you can see the column quality. There are three options, right? You can select these three options to perform the data profiling. For example, if I select this one, column quality, the moment when I selected this, you can see the percentage of valid records, percentage of error record, percentage of empty records, empty values for each column it shows us. With that, you can quickly find out, do we have any error here? Here we don't see any error record. Fine. And do we have any empty records? Here, yes, we have some empty. Here we have 33% of columns in this values in this column are having empty, and here 11%. Here 1% empty. So okay, fine. This column quality displays the percentage of valid versus error versus empty data. And the next one is the column distribution. When I select the column distribution currently, right, I just say column distribution. What it shows is it gives you the distinct and unique values in each column. We'll discuss about this distinct and unique in a little bit, and also it displays the histogram kind of thing. Okay, the chart. So with this, we can identify, the one specific values occurring more than one time. Rest of the values are occurring the same frequency, but only one value in this column occurs more time. And if you eyeball this, you can see that barren name occurs multiple times. The frequency of occurrence is more compared to other values. For example, true appears only one time, Chris appears only one time. Okay, and similarly, units sold here. So you can see that the 15 is the biggest, only one biggest, sorry, not the 15, 10. 10 occurs more than one time. The frequency of distribution, it shows you. With that, you can quickly make out. And importantly, when you select the column profile, it gives you the statistics. For example, when I select the customer name column, it gives me how many number of records are there, how many number of values are there in this column. Okay, in total 9 records are there. This statistics tells me 9 values are there in this column. But do we really have 9 values here? But if you see the 9th record, we have the blank value here. But the count includes the blank also. But actually, when it comes to text data type, see customer name along, you can see the ABC icon, which means the text data type. In the case of text data type, it considers the blank as a empty string. Okay. So look here, you have something like empty string is 1. That means the 9th record, for this column, right? It has empty string in it. Most of them, they get confused. Even I got confused when I did the data profiling first time, okay, way back, okay. And empty is 0. According to this, there is no blank value. Don't think just because you have nothing displayed, it's a blank. It is empty string. That is why we puts 1 here. And then we have some distinct 7 and 6. This is very interesting one, the distinct and unique. Unique, you know very well, how many number of unique, it will not consider the duplicate values. Look, here it shows unique 6, okay? And here if you see here, Baron appears more than one time. Hence, when it comes to Power Query Editor, especially for the unique thing, it ignores the duplicate values. Literally, it does, discard that thing. And what are the rest of the values we left with it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and empty string 6. You understood? I just put it here. Larry and true, 22, and range and crest, and including this one. So 3 plus 3, 6. Baron, it did not consider because it is not unique. It is duplicated. Okay, it is duplicated. Okay, so now you understood the column profile gives, much better insight about the data here, right? It gives an, in-depth overview of the column. It gives us the count of rows. And if there are errors while importing data in a specific column, right, it takes into account of that one also. And also it checks the number of empty rows, the minimum, maximum value within the column, all the things. Since it is, here, even in this case, it is doing the minimum, maximum. Minimum is nothing, maximum is true. So you know very well, T, right? The alphabet, T comes later according to these values, right? So hence it gives you the maximum is T, and the minimum is the blank string, empty string, and hence it is not showing anything here. Now the question is, okay, unique is fine. What is this distinct is all about? What is the difference between distinct and unique? As the name suggests, right? Unique is nothing but the total number of values that appears only once. Baron is not appearing only once, and it simply ignored it. When it comes to distinct, what it does is it finds out the total number of different values, irrespective of the fact that how many number of times it appears in your data set. It takes into account of the Baron also, which one? The distinct. Though Baron appears more than once, but still it considers it's a 1. That's all. Okay. So 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay. See, the simple thing is, for example, a person by the name of Baron, he purchased 3 different times in your store. The same person appears more than one time. That doesn't mean these 3 transactions are related to 3 different Barons, right? You just think that way. All these 3 Barons represent only one person, plus the rest of the unique values, right? 7. So distinct, what it does is, it takes into account of the different values, irrespective of the fact that it appears more than one time. But it is not taking into the duplicate values. Okay, that is what the difference between distinct and unique. So now you are very clear, and this is with regards to the text data type. If I select the quantitative variable, units sold. Next to that, you can see 1 to 3, it's a whole number. Okay. And you can see the number of values are 9 here. Look here, if you scroll down here, even though you have null, it takes into account of the null also. Okay. And null also 9. And error is 0. We don't see any error. And empty is 3. Look here. Null, 3 null values are there. So by default, if you have any blank values, it will assign null in the case of Power Query Editor. So these 3 null are nothing but the empty blank record. And the distinct is 6 and unique is for same as the one what I explained for the text column. But here, there is nothing called blank, the empty string. Okay. And NaN not a number. We don't see anything like this. And 0 is 1. 0 appears only one time. If you see here, 0 appears only one time. Look here, 0 appears only one time. And then the next one is the minimum is 0. And what is the maximum? Maximum is 15. That's all. And average, standard deviation, and how many even number of values are there, how many odd values are there, right? It gives you the statistics. Now, if you see the difference between min and max, it is somewhat closer. If you find the maximum value for the unit sold very, very large, something like 150K, 100K, then something wrong. No one is going to order 100K and all, right? So very rare situation. That is kind of outlier. With this statistics, by looking at the minimum and maximum, right? If you find out the difference, if it is too huge, something wrong, okay? Especially the maximal is too high, there is something called outlier. Then go and check with your stakeholder, hey, there is something huge, well, is this correct? And if they tell, no, this due to data entry, some mistake happened, you correct it. You can fix it, and then you go ahead and perform the further data transmission, everything. Hope you understood what is column quality. It displays the percentage of valid versus error versus empty, and then the column distribution. How to resolve if you found any error in data using data profiling. So, for example, yes, if you have any error, you remember in the very first session, I have shown you the thing, right? If you have any error, you need to find out the underlying cause for that. For example, if I try to convert this text data type, will it work? It will work. But if I try to convert this decimal number, text to decimal, it will work. But if you have any text value mixed up with this one, when you try to convert it to number data, it will get conversion error. Okay? What you need to do is, in that case, you need to make sure that you are going to remove the dollar from it, and then you need to fix it. Okay. And what will happen in some cases when you load the data, in case of any error record, right? It will open another folder where it will capture, it will show all the error record. Okay. So that you need to, it is kind of a manual process, partially manually. Sometimes you can do some kind of replace value, something like that, you can do it. Okay. The error one. Got it? So now we understood the column profile also, right? It gives the more in-depth view. It gives the status for each and every column. And with that, you can also catch hold of any outliers and you can fix it. And the column distribution, it displays the data distribution within that column. And also, right, it gives you the number of distinct and unique values. So that is what we discussed. Hope you understood the data, how to perform data profiling, how to interpret the statistics and column distribution, how you can leverage all the things that you have understood. And look here, if I select the customer name, when I enable column profile, along with this itself, it gives you the distribution, right? So with this, you can identify very quickly this person name occurs more time than the rest of the customer name. That means, this customer is a frequent purchaser. Okay, with the chart also, you can gain a quick insight. So this wraps up the data profiling topic.